Hey, welcome to Mama Mandala, where magic is somatic. I'm Hagar. This is the fifth in our series of Cerridwen's Cauldron of Transformation, and this is our Cauldron of Incubation. I'm releasing this in the new year, right in the beginning, when our visions and our dreams and our processes of end of year are transferring and transitioning into a new phase. It is a continuation of the work of transformation and alchemy deep in the dark. It is a continuation of the invocation of inspiration of Awen, which is the word, the Celtic word that Cerridwen, the goddess, the Celtic goddess of the cauldron, is most known for. She's known as the keeper of the cauldron. She's known as the keeper of inspiration. She's known as the one who churns inspiration from within and brews the potion of Awen, of divine muse, of the power of spirit to flow as a poetic experience so that it can move into expression through the bardic tradition. So each of us is a bard, each of us is a vessel to receive Awen. We just receive it in different ways and then express it, give it form in different ways. The process of giving it form, though, requires what we are entering now. So if this is not January for you and not the beginning of the year and not deep winter, it doesn't matter, because deep winter, this seasonal darkness when the seeds are under the ground going through a process of reformulating their reality, doesn't have to be limited to wintertime only when we work on it in our own psyche, when we work on our own soul's transformation. So whenever you are receiving this, I am welcoming you into your own dark season moment. And if you are seeing it now, around the time I'm releasing it, beginning of January, deep winter, beginning of a collective cycle altogether around the sun again, giving space for in ourselves for the sun to start to rise back up and move itself slowly from our perspective on earth north. So if you are in the southern hemisphere, you are moving now from deep, powerful, top peak light of summer toward the darker time, but it's still powerful brightness. And if you're in the northern hemisphere with me, you are now starting to, almost like you're calling the sun to come back out. With past solstice, we're moving toward this time when we're going to start to see slowly the light returning. But for the light to return, for our ideas to be moved into this process of becoming a reality, not all of them will. Some of the seeds don't get to grow. That's why we plant so many of them. But for that to happen, we need the right kind of conditions for the incubation to happen. And those conditions require warmth. They require where we need to be able to snuggle, right? We need deep couch time. We need deep temple time. So in mythology, in symbolism, incubation time is deep sacred rest in places such as a temple, right? For you, it can be whatever feels the most sacred space for you. And it's a ritualistic kind of a sleep where the person calls on the prophetic, the divine, the kind of messages that come from the world that is the in-between, the world of dreams, right? And it is the cave of dream time, which I'm on Tongva land, but in some other areas on Turtle Island, also known now as the U.S. There's some traditions of Native Americans call it the bear, the temple of the bear is the keeper of the temple of dreams. And so this is a great time to allow ourselves to contemplate, to give ourselves space to daydream. And I know not all of us have the privilege and the privilege of time to be able to do that. I know that I don't have a lot of time. But if I can grab 10 minutes some evenings, maybe on a dark moon this month, to journal a little bit, to see what's coming through. Because so many of us come to the beginning of the year with all these ideas, with all these goals, with all these intentions, and very quickly they tend to dissolve because we tend to skip, at least in our minds, how important incubation time is. So the conditions for incubation are rest and softness and warmth, kind of like the birds sitting on the eggs in the nest, right? We need to be the liquidity that is slowly starting to develop inside the egg, right? Or in the womb, which is, again, taking it back to Cerridwen, the Celtic goddess that this series has been exploring in different ways. The cauldron is her womb, but then her womb takes also a form that is very important in the story, because once Awen emerges out of the cauldron and gets into Gwion-Bach, and we've gone through all of that in previous videos, so I won't go too deep into this, but she chases Gwion-Bach, they shapeshift, and she ends up pecking him as a seed, and as a seed he's in her digestive system, but somehow finds his way into her womb, and in her womb he reformulates himself, and he's reborn with Awen on his forehead. He becomes the power of inspiration, the great bard Taliesin. So the rebirth of inspiration requires digestion, requires incubation. It requires time deep in the womb. And so whatever you can do in the next few weeks to honor the still dark world as a time to dream, to still conceive some ideas, to give your ideas time to breathe before they go into action. And again, I say that knowing that it's a privilege, but whatever you can do to allow some time, some moments of dream and spaciousness and slowness, that's great. So this practice that we're going to do right now is to give yourself time deep in rest. And what you'll need for this practice to take incubation into a somatic experience, or to create an embodied nest for the bird of your awareness to sit on and give yourself some time to process the renewal before it becomes reborn, then go ahead and grab a block if you have one, and if you don't, you can grab a thick book. That can be really helpful, or two thick books, and a blanket. I have a yoga blanket here with me, but it doesn't have to be a yoga blanket. It can be some other blanket, or you can also have two blocks. That can also work, okay? So if you need to pause the video to go grab your props, go for it, and go, and I'll meet you on your mat. We're gonna start in child's pose. I always feel like child's pose is this embodied form like a seed. So we're going to bring the big toes to touch and take the knees wide apart. Sit back on your heels for a moment before you start. Allow your eyes to soften. Allow a slow exhalation to release you into the moment. And allow a deep, slow inhalation to fill you up and invite you to arrive. And follow the next exhale or two. When you're ready, deep listening to yourself, you're going to move your hands forward and move your upper body a little bit side to side so that your torso can snuggle in the space between your thighs. Forearms down and forehead down. And with your forehead resting on the earth, it's your third eye resting on the ground. The center in the yoga tradition of vision, the chakra of vision and seeing and color and light, it's in the third eye. It's the space between your eyebrows or a little bit above. And you rest that on the earth to bring your vision, your visions, your dreams, your ideas deep down into the soil, to be embraced in the womb of the earth. To be protected from the cold weather. To be snuggled in the dirt. And slow breath deep through the tone in the back of the throat. You might hear me breathing this deep sound of the breath moving through this tighter passage. Almost like your breath passageways are embracing your breath as the spirit of Awen, as the spirit of inspiration, of the muse, the way that the soil embraces the seed. And very slowly, forearms move forward, hips lift up a little bit, stretch your knees back, your feet back, spread your toes, anchor your toenails down, and lift your chest up, Sphinx pose. Slow, deep breaths. You might hear my doggie, Gracie, snoring. She is working her incubation vibe. You can have your eyes closed or open. Slow breath. Press your feet down. Lift your chest up. And with an exhalation, rest your chest on the ground and make a pillow with your hands and rest your head down. I'm going to keep my head lifted because if I rest all the way down, the microphone will make a weird sound and the sound will be muffly. So I'm staying up, but you lie down with your head on your hands, slow breath. And feel your belly against the earth, your chest, your heart against the earth. And let this be a temple of incubation for your inspiration to take root. Not yet asking it to sprout, not yet demanding that it will grow, giving it time to be nourished by all the things you've composted over the last few weeks. And if you haven't done the work of composting and alchemy, I highly recommend once you're done with this video to go and do the whole series. You don't have to do it obviously in one day, but do the whole series. It does take you through a process. And turn your head in the opposite direction. Stay on your belly and breathe slowly. Allow the breath to move through you. Allow the mind to move through the different waves that move through it. So instead of doing what we often learn in yoga and in spiritual practices, in meditation, instead of trying to gather it, let it wander. Part of incubation is a wandering mind. That's one of the signs of incubation. So there's times to focus, and I'm not saying that's not important, but there's also time to daydream, to wander. No rushing. Deep breathing. And make sure your block is handy, and turn over to lie on your back. Feet on the ground as wide as your outer hips. Move your knees a little bit side to side. I felt the need to do that, so I'm offering that to you, just allowing a little movement side to side. And when you're ready, let yourself center. Slow, deep breathing. We're practicing slowness. We're practicing a bit of an anti-capitalist, a bit of an overly westernized perspective, and we're allowing ourselves to slow down. There is time for moving faster. It's appropriate at times to get ourselves going. I'm not saying we never need it. That's why we give ourselves an entire cycle around the sun so that we can experience different flavors and different qualities and different energies. And we're going to lift the hips up and place the block underneath your hips. I like the middle way. The high way, in my opinion, especially for the work that we're doing right now, is too much. But the low way, if you'd like, you can do that. So that's the low way. And the middle way is this. I am a big fan of this level, but sometimes the low one feels amazing too. You can rest your hands on your hips. Let them rest on the hip bone. And keep breathing, slow, deep Ujjayi breath. And there's going to be a little bit of your body might want to move a little bit and fidget a little bit to find the position that feels good for it. And I want you to make space for yourself to do that. Even if you've been told in other places, in other styles, and with other teachers to not do that, that's totally okay. There's time and place for different things. So this practice of incubation is not necessarily for always, for every time, for every day, for every hour in the day. It's here when you need it. Deep breaths. Slow breath. If you feel like, oh, a big exhalation wants to come out through your mouth, do that. I felt that now. So you want to make space for what needs to flow through. Mostly breathe slowly in and out of your nose. But at certain moments, if there's another breath pattern that wants to come through, let it. Rest your hips on the block, letting the block hold the weight of your pelvis, of your hips. One thing I want to make sure, I should have said that earlier, I'm sorry. I want to make sure that your block is underneath your sacrum and not under your lower back and not under your butt cheeks, okay? So it's your sacrum. It should feel very nice. So it's below your lowest vertebrae and above your sit bones. If your arms want to go out to the side, you can let them. Slow breath, giving room for the adjustments that are needed In a way, that's a big part of transformation, of incubation, to let the things that drop, drop, to let the things that need to move, move, to let the things that need to flow in, flow in. You are cultivating a receptivity so that the messages that you need to hear can come through. Slow, deep breaths. Let the quality of your mind soften. Feel what's coming through you. Make room for the flow of thoughts and feelings and ideas. And if what you're experiencing is just quiet, well, my belly is making a lot of noises. Sorry if you're hearing it. But if you are feeling just really quiet and unmotivated and not at all it's a new year, let's get going, then you're right on time. You're right with nature's invitation. What if you gave yourself a little bit of space for the magic of right on time, wherever you are right now, whenever you are right now? You're right on time. You're not late. All of your experiences, even if they have been really challenging, guide you to this moment. And what is this moment holding for you? And that's not a disregard to traumatic experiences or real difficulties, not at all. Breathe slowly. Big, deep belly breaths. For some of us, sometimes it's really hard to rest. Maybe it's a dysregulated nervous system, so we're having a harder time resting. Deep into your belly, breathe. Make your belly really big as you breathe in. And let it release and relax as you breathe out. If your breath wants to move out with a slow exhalation through your mouth with a big release, you can let it. Whatever needs to be released. Maybe it's the expectations. Space to be with yourself, even if it's boring. Boring is deep. It's deep, beautiful conditions for incubation. When you're ready to lift your hips and take the block out of the way and let your hips rest on the ground, and maybe move your knees a little bit side to side. Maybe your head moves in the opposite direction of your knees as your knees move side to side. So you're having a little bit of a rolling happening, a little gentle twisting happening in a serpentine kind of a way. We're gonna roll to the side and roll the blanket. Oh my goodness, I'm feeling so rested. How about you? I'm gonna roll the blanket so that it's opened like this, kind of the long way, and then roll it this way. And if you don't have a blanket, what you can do, if you have 2 blocks or 2 big books, is you can put, so let me guide you through the blanket for a second, and then I'll talk you through what to do with books. You're gonna bring the soles of your feet together in Baddha Konasana and put the blanket on top of your feet, but then pull the blanket underneath your shins and lie down so that your shins and your thighs also rest on the blanket. Your arms can go to the sides or rest on your belly. And if you don't have a blanket, you can put 2 blocks on the outside of your knees, whatever height you need to let them be. Does that make sense? 2 blocks or 2 blankets on the outside of your knees to help support your knees so that your whole body can relax in this pose. And allow your body to soften into the earth. Your hands can move around. They don't have to stay where you place them. So if it feels good to rest them on the lower belly and imagine the energetic, mythic, symbolic womb holding your ideas, your dreams with the support of your hands. You can even we did that in previous videos in this series, but you can bring the index fingers to touch and your thumbs to touch. And that's a simple version of Yoni Mudra. And you can rest your hands like that. In this case, so for my body, to be really rested in this position with the fingers in Yoni Mudra, I like a little more support underneath my elbows so that my elbows can rest a little bit more elevated. That's for my body. So if you're the same, you can go grab it, or you can skip Yoni Mudra, because what I would like for you is to be rested. And let the hands move a little bit till they find a comfortable position. And even then, in a few moments, they might need to shift again. Slow, deep breaths in and out through the tone in the back of the throat. Letting yourself be a little spread out, a little less gathered and focused. And this might feel like a shock to your system. It might feel like the opposite of so many of the messages that you get from the overculture and even from spiritual teachings and meditation and yoga. So much of it is about gathering ourselves. For now, it's very important to be able to do, but for now, you allow yourself to be held. In the period of incubation, the seed is held in the deep womb, in the soil. And we let the ideas of our becoming to continue to flow. You are held in the womb of the goddess, gestating, incubating, so that the brightness of you can find its way through the birth canal and into the world, but you're not rushing it. It's not time yet, maybe. And you're learning in this way to give yourself time and space. And sometimes, from my own personal experience, sometimes the gestating and incubating time is years. It's not always just a season, okay? So deep, dark winter time can be a decade. If you are a mother, and it's not a gender thing, but often mothers go through a period of underworld time, deep underworld. They might love mothering. It's not about not loving the experience, but there is inevitably a loss of identity. In general, more for mothers than for fathers, but it's not necessarily. But in the world, in the way that the world is structured, often mothers have to give up a lot. And sometimes it's years of incubation, years. I'm not talking from experience or anything. So there's a release in the process, there's a softening, there's an allowing yourself to be where you are. I just gave this one example, but there are so many others. And when you're ready, my dear, dear one, roll yourself to your side. Spend a moment on your side. It doesn't matter which one. I roll to the left so that I can face you, but also tradition says to roll to the right. And sometimes it's nice to do it the other way. And when you're ready, bring yourself to a seated position. I recommend putting the leg that you're less used to in front to break the pattern. So incubation is a time to, after the process of composting or through the process of composting, as we change directions and break habits and patterns. Incubation is when we start to forget the old patterns. So let the leg moving, the leg that you're less used to coming forward, allow your system to learn something new, to make room for another way. Place your left hand over your heart and your right hand over your belly, and take a couple of slow, deep breaths into your belly and your chest, into your hands. as you receive through your touch the message that you are here for yourself, you're here to support yourself. And then as you bring your hands now together in front of your heart in Anjali Mudra, you turn the process into an offering. Anjali is the deep heart offering, into an offering to yourself and through yourself to the world. You're giving yourself the time and the space that you need in order to let the deep work that you're doing to flow through you. You're giving yourself the time and the space that you need for the power of inspiration to be generated through you. And let's chant together the sound of Awen one time to call it forth from within us, to call it to flow through us, to call it to awaken all around us. Awen, the great spirit of creativity and inspiration. Deep breath in. Thank you so much for being here with me, for doing this deep work together. Thanks for joining me in this series of the Cauldron of Transformation of Cerridwen. Thanks for all this Awen time, this great time of the muses flowing through us together. And may this new year, if this is a new year for you, be a deep time for the entirety of the cyclical nature of your being to be respected and honored and embraced. If you like this video, please put a like on it, share it with your people, share the series with your friends, and thank you so much. If you're not subscribed to this channel, please subscribe to this channel, and I will leave a few links for you in the description of the video for a few different articles, essays that I wrote about Cerridwen, different aspects of her as the power around us and within us, different aspects of her story. And I would love if you subscribe to my Substack, because I think you will love it. Muse Medicine drops every Monday. We explore different mythic, archetypal aspects of our being and of the world, mythic lens to view life through, in particular in these difficult times. And it is a space, a circle where we're calling in inspiration to keep flowing through. It is Muse's temple. So I hope you join me there. I hope you join me here for the next series, for the next videos. I'm so grateful for you. Thank you so much. Namaste.